Let's get right into it. Number 9, quicksand sucks you under. You've seen that dramatic movie scene where someone's slowly sinking in quicksand, desperately reaching for a branch while being pulled under. Hollywood's been lying to you. Turns out quicksand is actually denser than the human body. That means you float in it like a cork in water. You literally can't sink all the way down even if you tried. The worst that could happen is sinking about waist deep. But here's the dark part. People still die in quicksand. Not from drowning, though. They die from exposure, dehydration, or incoming tides while stuck in place. Imagine being trapped waist deep, unable to move, watching the sunset, and knowing high tide is coming, or being stuck there for days. Seeing rescue helicopters fly overhead, but they can't spot you because you're basically just a head sticking out of the ground. The more you struggle, the more stuck you get. It's like nature's version of a Chinese finger trap. Number 8, penguins mate for life. Everyone thinks penguins are these cute romantics who mate for life. Well, turns out penguins are more like that friend who keeps changing their relationship status on Facebook. Scientists actually tracked these faithful couples and found out penguins are basically running their own version of Love Island. About 85% of emperor penguins switch partners every single year. They're not even subtle about it. They'll literally waddle past their old mate like they never shared those long romantic walks on the ice. Some female penguins are basically gold diggers. They'll trade romantic favors with single males in exchange for rocks to build their nests. These birds have figured out the world's oldest profession. The males aren't any better. Some of them maintain 2 families at once, waddling back and forth between nests like some tuxedo-wearing soap opera character. When a penguin does find their soulmate, it's usually because they keep coming back to the same nesting spot each year. It's not true love, they're just too lazy to house hunt. So next time someone tells you to be like penguins and mate for life, remember these little cheaters are probably not the best role models for your relationship goals. Number 7, you lose most body heat through your head. Your mom probably told you this one 1,000 times. Put on a hat or you'll freeze to death. 90% of your body heat escapes through your head. Well, turns out this is about as true as saying all your intelligence leaks out your ears when you sleep. This myth started with a weird military experiment from the 1950s. They sent some soldiers out into the freezing cold, bundled up in warm clothes everywhere except their heads. Surprise, surprise, they lost most of their heat through their exposed heads. It's like wrapping your whole body in a sleeping bag except for your foot, and then concluding, oh my god, we lose most of our body heat through our toes. Here's the real deal. Your head loses heat at about the same rate as any other body part of similar size. That's about 10% of your total body heat, not the 90% your mom claimed. The reason this myth sticks around is pretty simple. Your head is usually the only part of body left uncovered in cold weather. It's like blaming the one window you left open for making the whole house cold. Number 6, the 5-second rule. You've done it. I've done it. We've all done it. You drop that delicious cookie on the floor, and suddenly you're the fastest person alive. Quick, pick it up before the 5 seconds are up. But bacteria doesn't have a stopwatch. Those little guys don't wait politely for 5 seconds before jumping onto your food. Scientists actually put this to the test. They dropped food on different surfaces and checked how fast bacteria transferred. It actually takes less than 1 second. By the time you're saying 5-second rule, your food has already hosted a bacteria party. And it gets worse. Wet food picks up even more bacteria. That slice of watermelon you dropped is basically a bacteria magnet. The floor isn't even the dirtiest surface in your house. Your kitchen counter probably has more bacteria than your floor. So next time you drop food, those bacteria are faster than your reflexes. They're like tiny ninjas. But instead of throwing stars, they throw food poisoning. Number 5, water conducts electricity. You've probably heard that water and electricity are a deadly combo. Everyone knows not to drop a hairdryer in the bathtub, but pure water is actually terrible at conducting electricity. It's about as conductive as a rubber duck. The real killer isn't the water. It's all the stuff floating around in it. You see, pure water is just H2O molecules minding their own business. But tap water is like a wild party with uninvited guests. It's full of minerals, metals, and other tiny particles that love conducting electricity. Pure water is like an empty highway at midnight. But add some minerals, and suddenly, it's rush hour traffic. Electricity zooming everywhere. Here's a fun fact. Scientists actually use ultrapure water when working with electrical equipment because it's so bad at conducting electricity. They can safely dunk their expensive gadgets in it. But don't try this at home with your tap water unless you want to star in your own personal light show. Number 4, bulls hate the color red. Everyone thinks bulls go crazy when they see red. Turns out that's complete nonsense. Bulls are actually colorblind to red and green. They see the world in blues and yellows. The bull doesn't care about the color of the red cape. It's the movement that gets them riled up. You could wave a hot pink cape, a white bed sheet, or your ex's favorite t-shirt. The bull would charge at any of them. The red cape tradition actually started to hide the blood from injuries during the bullfight. They weren't trying to make the bull angry. They were trying to keep the audience from fainting. The bull is basically a very large, very angry cat chasing a laser pointer. Number 3, touching a baby bird. You know that thing about not touching baby birds because the parents will smell your human scent and abandon them. That's completely made up. Most birds can barely smell anything. Birds are actually super dedicated parents. They've invested too much time and energy into those babies to just abandon them because they smell a bit different. These are the same birds that build nests on traffic lights and eat from dumpsters. They're not exactly picky about smells. The real reason this myth exists is it was probably made up by parents who were tired of their kids bringing home every baby bird they found. If you find a baby bird on the ground, it's probably a fledgling learning to fly. That's like bird kindergarten. They need to fall a few times before they get it right. The parents are usually nearby, watching and probably judging your parenting advice. Now, if you find a really young bird with no feathers, that's different. That's a nestling, and it probably fell out of its nest by accident. In that case, you can actually pick it up and put it back. The parents will be grateful, not grossed out. Number 2, Frankenstein was the monster. You know how everyone gets annoyed when someone calls Link Zelda? Well, we've been doing something way worse for over 200 years. That green guy with bolts in his neck that everyone calls Frankenstein. That's not Frankenstein. Frankenstein was the doctor. The monster never even got a name. It's like calling your iPhone Tim Cook or your Tesla Elon. The actual story is way darker than what Hollywood shows us. Dr. Frankenstein creates this creature and immediately nopes out of there, leaving this newborn giant to figure life out on his own. Imagine being born as a full-grown adult with no one to teach you anything and everyone screaming when they see you. The monster actually taught himself to read by secretly watching a family through their window. He was basically that one guy who joins the Zoom call but keeps his camera off. The monster even tried to make friends, but everyone took one look at him and chose violence. So the real monster was the doctor who abandoned his creation. The guy literally created life and then ghosted harder than your Tinder date. Number 1, samurai use seppuku for honor. Movies show samurai committing seppuku as this noble act of honor. Hollywood got this one completely wrong. Seppuku wasn't some poetic choice warriors made to preserve their honor. Most of the time, it was a death sentence you had to carry out on yourself. You're a samurai, and your lord decides you've messed up. Instead of just executing you, they force you to be your own executioner. You couldn't even say no. If you refused, they'd torture you to death instead, and your entire family would be punished too. When a samurai was given the privilege of seppuku, it wasn't a privilege at all. It was being told, either kill yourself, or we'll make your death way worse, and kill your whole family too. Some lords used it to get rid of perfectly loyal warriors they just didn't like anymore. They'd accuse them of some minor offense, then force them to commit seppuku. It was medieval Japan's version of resigning to spend more time with your family, but permanent. The whole honor story came later, when people tried to make sense of this dark practice. It's like putting a fancy Instagram filter on a horror show. Those warriors weren't thinking about honor. They were thinking about